culture. And the reason you admire someone so much, it's not because of how they look, it's not because of the money they have, it's just that the discipline and just the environment that surrounds them. Like you see the feeling you have when you're around someone, and the respect you have for someone when you are around them. You haven't talked to this person like Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Fabian Mudhoni Mbugwa and you're watching PMM Youth Explore. How are you guys? I have really missed you people, and I will never stop thanking you for how you're supporting me as a new YouTuber, and I will keep on pushing. I will never stop. I will never ever stop. If I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop for the better. I'm going to stop something for the better, but I'm never going to go backwards. So I'm here with another exciting topic, and I am looking forward to talking to you more. I realized that I've not been telling you people to subscribe. I've not been telling you to continue with the discussion down below and comment. Tell me how you feel about this channel. Tell me what you want me to talk about. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me whether you're learning anything from it. Don't just watch. If someone feels so encouraged when they feel you're talking, and I feel I'm not just recording, although I am also happy because you're viewing. I can see the viewers are going higher, meaning you're not just looking at it and moving forward. You're watching, and I'm really grateful for that. Today I'm going to talk about personal culture, and it's something that is really good to learn when you're a young person, because I have come to realize this is where you are actually building yourself. You see, when you're a child, you're still like being brought up by your mom. You're still having the fun of being as young, like just having the fun of being a small child who is still being looked at. And then after you're now a young person, you've now decided to come to have your family. Responsibilities follow you. You sometimes don't even have time for personal development and developing a culture. So being young is the best opportunity. As in this stage when you're just past the parent stage and just before you being a parent. It's simply an age between that, and that is the age group that I am really concentrating on. I am part of that age group, and as I talk about things here, I'm also learning. So it's not like each time I teach you something, it's like I have got to the highest point. As in, even when I'm talking about esteem, it doesn't mean I have had the best esteem ever. I'm also learning as I talk about these things, and every time I learn something new, I just have the excitement of I wish I can talk to someone about this. I also told you about the reading. Sometimes I read something and I feel, oh, I just should talk about this and help other people learn. You know, information is power, and if I can just keep the information that I usually have, it's not good. And I tell you, I really love looking for information. So I know some of you don't love reading. I know some of you don't love listening to long talks. So I'm just going to be listening to the long talks and then simplify them to small talks. Read the big books and then just interpret it, go direct to the point. So I hope you keep on enjoying my sessions. Yeah, and today I'm going to talk about personal culture. So I want to ask you something. Like now, since you came out of, if you're still with your parents, don't worry, I will get to you. But if you've already come from your parents' house and you're not yet with a family, I want to ask you, like, have you ever thought about how you would like your family to be when you've grown up, when you've had to, like that point you have now, a family? Have you ever asked yourself how you want to bring up your children? Have you ever asked yourself the things that you have learned from your mom? Do you have things that you're going to teach your children? Have you ever asked yourself, like, the responsibility or the weight that sometimes you feel your mom or your grandma has to feed a lot of children and grandchildren with not just food, knowledge. The way you usually depend on your mom, sometimes you're stressed and you call her and you tell her, Mom, I am feeling this way and this way and this way. And she advises you or she gives you her insights. Have you ever thought about that as yourself? Have you ever looked at, now you are the parent, now you are the company owner, now you're the who? You're maybe the counselor if you're aspiring to be a counselor. You are a teacher, you are a village elder, you are like the woman or the man in power. We have a lot of expectation from people, and we also learn a lot from people. But now when you are a young person, that is when you're becoming that person that you have been learning from. I don't know how to put this for you to understand. As in that person you've always admired. You see that mentor of yours who mentors you. Imagine you're preparing yourself to be a mentor to someone. You're also preparing yourself to be a mom to someone. You're preparing yourself to be a leader. And one common thing about all those people is that they have a culture. And the reason you admire someone so much, it's not because of how they look, it's not because of the money they have, it's just that the discipline and just the environment that surrounds them. Like the feeling you have when you're around someone and the respect you have for someone when you are around them. You haven't talked to this person, like you look at a CEO and you're like, wow. Oh God, he's brilliant, he's disciplined, he's deeply rooted. You cannot tell what he's deeply rooted in, but you can just feel how concrete he is, and you can feel the respect someone deserves and the dignity someone has for herself by just looking at how they are doing their things. So what I'm trying to say is, you see, when you're a young person, that is the time you're building that. And sometimes we overlook these things, and that is what makes the difference between the CEOs and the people who are working for those CEOs. It's not the money, it's the discipline and the culture. So today I decided to talk about that because I also learned it like a few months ago, and I decided this year my goal is to cement and to lay a foundation of my culture, something that people don't just define me by, but it's something people can see by just looking at me. It's something people can feel when they are talking to me. It's something people can just feel when they are around me. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the processes you have to go through as you're forming your culture, or what your culture should be made of. You might be wondering, yes, the culture and becoming that person, the person everyone admires, becoming the parent in your head, or the beautiful wife and the hardworking wife in your head. That is actually it. But what are the processes you go through as you form your culture, or what should your culture entail? Number one is your roots. Before a tree grows, or as a tree grows, the first thing that is the most important with a plant, not just a tree, any plant, is the roots. It's the source of water, it's the source of minerals, it's the source of, most of the things that the tree needs comes from the roots. And that is exactly what you should consider when you're deciding your culture. You have to decide, you have to ask yourself, really, where do I get my strength from? From whom does my help come from? That is, a phrase from the Bible, but it doesn't have to be Christianity, but for me it's Christianity, and God is my source and my root. But you really have to understand and concentrate on your root and your source. Because if you know your root, you will never feel like you have a scarcity in something, because a root always surprise. So if you know your source and you believe in that source, and you also give the source what it requires, because if you cut the source of a tree, Do you expect it to keep supplying water? If you cut yourself from God, if that is your source, if God is your source, then you will not keep receiving what you expect. So number one is your source, and I've said it doesn't just have to be God. This channel is not discriminative of anyone. So there are people who are not maybe Christians, maybe you are a Muslim, or maybe you are an atheist. I don't know how to put it, but much as maybe you don't believe in God, I believe you have a source. Maybe it's your mom, maybe, although it's really it can be disappointing to put your source on a human being. But whatever your source is, you have to understand it for you to build a culture that lasts. So number two is beliefs. And you can also look at that in the normal cultures that we're used to, like the tribal culture, the societal culture, the Kenyan culture, which is written in the constitution. You see, we always have the beliefs we subscribe to. If you're a Christian, you know what you believe in. You have a strong faith, and you believe in something. The people who do not believe in love, that is also a belief. The people who believe in witchcraft, that is a belief which is part of the culture. So just building a strong culture will also require you to have certain beliefs and believe and mean it. You don't believe in something and then you do something against it. You don't believe that there's a prize in being good and you continue being not, like, you don't do what you believe in. Be true to yourself and don't form a belief just to please people. Mean it. Actually, this culture is not for telling people this is who I am. It's for defining yourself. Number three is the values, and I'm going to give examples in each. Like in the belief of said, you can believe in maybe eternal life, and you know what is really needs, what you need to do to have eternal life. You can believe in success, and you know, like what you believe, what you have to do to get that. If you believe in a good marriage, if you believe love exists, you know what you need to do for you to have a good marriage. If you believe you can be, like, the belief you have as a person, the things you want, actually they are like goals. The goals you have, and you also outline the process of getting there. Number three is the values. I don't know whether I've said it. The values are like the things you believe, okay, not just believe it, the things you subscribe to. I think the things that define you. Like there are things you don't compromise with. The values are, for example, honesty. You can decide, like the values, another value you can have is time discipline, hard work. Those are the values, and I want you to have specific ones. You see, but for you to have an organization, you have to set these things. You have to have values that relate to your company, and they're not just put there. As a CEO, if you go against a value like maybe transparency, they will have to ask you, have you gone through the company's values? And you see, the things you believe in are the things you expect from people. The values you have, they will also determine the kind of friends you have, the kinds of environment you surround yourself in. If your value is dignity, you will not surround yourself with people who do not respect themselves. If you like love honesty, you will not associate with people who keep lying. You will not also keep lying yourself. Like, have values that define you, and people know you by that. But then there are people I know, if you fail to go on time, they will just leave you to whatever. If you agree you're going to meet on at 11 and you don't show up at 11, they go. So they have defined that as their culture, and you don't compromise with them. Whatever they've decided, that's the final thing. Can we also, but that is usually admirable. If you have a culture and you are deeply rooted in it, and you've already described them to people, and people know you by that, it's about being true to yourself. You don't say them for the sake of saying it. You can go to any people, but I hate indiscipline in time, but you don't actually, you're not strict on it, and you don't do that what you say you do, or you don't expect, you don't do things you expect people to do to you. That is culture. Okay, there's also practices, and I think practices come from values. Like for example, practices comes with the fifth thing, that is habit. You see, when you're used to waking up early, I'm just saying the things that I have been adapting as a girl, as a person. If you maybe come up with the practice that you will be saying, I will be sleeping at 11 and waking up at 4 or before 6. You form that as your routine and it becomes a habit. It also grows to a culture. I will tell you why you need to have all this. Like you have to have a deeply rooted culture. Number 4, it's defining achievements. It's also something about culture. Have you ever seen people who have mediocrity kind of thinking? People who like feel achievement. You look at their definition of achievement and you're like, wow, like, well, okay, that is your definition of achievement. Like mediocrity is really praised, especially in Africa, and I would like us as youths to just define achievement in a different way. Personally, I have decided I have come up with my own culture of defining achievement as how many people I impact in my life and in a positive way. I have defined achievement by how much I'm pleasing God, not myself, not people. How much I am really making God proud. Sometimes I do something and I tell myself, by the way, I am sure that God has smiled down at me from heaven. It's just something beautiful. I just wish you can understand the culture like I have come to understand it lately. And I have been really serious about that. Okay, the next thing, I think I've talked about all of them. I've talked about the roots, the beliefs, the values, defining achievements, and the practices. Now I will tell you why you need that. You see, the tribal culture that we've grown up in, especially as Kenyans, is usually passed from one generation to another to another to another. The same way your culture is going to be passed from your generation to the next generation. Your children are going to borrow a lot from what you're building in, and it doesn't have to be what your parents taught. Okay, it doesn't have to be what you've grown knowing. It doesn't have to be what you have seen people do. That is why it's really important to have a deeply rooted culture of your own. I think that you will be proud if it goes on to generations. I keep asking myself, sometimes when I'm building on a habit, I ask myself, will I be happy to see my daughter doing the same? Because I kid you not, they're going to inherit my culture. In one way or another, they're going to inherit my culture. And if they don't correct that culture when they are young, like I am young right now and I don't correct some of the cultures that I have corrected from many people, I'm going to pass it from my children, grandchildren, and generations to come. Is that what I want? Are the values that I am building right now something I would like to pass on to generations? You should also ask yourself that, because I kid you not, you're going to be so busy in your next stage that you're not going to have time to actually build on yourself or develop yourself to the point of having deeply rooted values that are going to be passed to generations. This is the time when you're just, as I've said when I was beginning this video, after you've come from the parents' hands and before you become a parent yourself, that is the time you have to build on a culture. And that is the culture that is going to take you all the way until you're an old person. It's not the things that we are taught that really matter. It's the things that we teach ourselves. It's the things that come from inside us. Also, I have forgotten to talk about something in the practices. You see, the environment you surround yourself in and the content you're feeding yourself, it's also a culture. And much as you might not see it, take an example of where you were before you met a friend and how much you have changed after you deeply connected with that friend. I've seen people who are not in drunkards and they hated maybe alcohol, or they just want so much into alcoholism, but right now they are deep drunkards. Let me just use that. They're deep into drunkenness, because the environment and the content you feed yourself with, that is exactly what you're going to turn into. Develop a culture that is going to be rich, and a culture that is building you and not taking you downwards. It's upgrading you and making you a better person. Read books. Develop a culture of reading books. Develop a culture of praying. Develop a culture of meditating and listening to your heart. Develop a culture of creating impact in lives. Develop a culture of honesty, time, discipline. Like, just develop the good values and make them your culture, and be true to them. Be true to yourself. Don't say one thing and do the other. Don't write it down as your constitution and then do opposite to it. People will never take you seriously. So yeah, I hope I've explained it the best way I wanted to, and I hope you're going to understand it. So thank you. It has been really noisy today. I hope you heard me amidst all the noise. Oh God. I hope you heard me amidst all the noise. I didn't want to keep cutting the video, but thank you, and let's meet in the next video. By the way, guys, please subscribe, hit the subscription button, and like, comment, and let's keep the conversation going. Let's not listen only. I would also really love to hear from you. I would love to hear what you have to say about some things. I would love to hear your opinions. So until we meet next time, adios.